Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. I eagerly wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the last Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This is it and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," I said, "or maiden, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here," I opened wide the door. "Darkness. There is nothing more." Deep into that darkness peering along, I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and only the word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this is nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. Surely there is something at my window. Latest let me see. Then what thereat is, in this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the stately days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed, but, with the mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, brave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore, for we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast, upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul is that one word, nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather, then he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, Nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by replies so aptly spoken, Doubtless, I said, what it utters is only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master whom unmercifully disaster followed fast and followed faster till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of never, never more. But the raven, still beguiling my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of the bird, and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to link fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly gaunt, and ominous bird your meaning is croaking, nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining, that the lamp light gloated, or but whose velvet violet lining of the lamp light gloating, or she shall press, nevermore. Then methought air grew dense, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by a seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tuft floor. Wretched, I cried, thy God hath lent me thee. By these angels he hath sent 3 respite, and Mephlul from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff, this kind and forget this lost Lenore, quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, I said, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that haven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden if, with the distant Aden, it shall clasp a saint maiden whom the angels name Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of painting, bird or fiend, I shrieked up startling, get thee back in the tempest and night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken, quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from my heart, and take thy form from out of my door, quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flirting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeing of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadows on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.